Guy here. Hope you're having a great day. It's funny where we end up and how we get there. A long time ago, when I was like 12 or something, I had this experience where I was looking for new schools with my mother, and my mother was talking with the administrator. We were out in the field. This guy was showing us the fields, sports fields, and everything, and I overheard him say something to my mom about how I'm not really cut out for this school. The implication I got was that I wasn't smart enough. And crazy, how that's the message I got. In order for me to be appropriate for the school, I'd have to do all this remedial work and everything. And I felt like I was not smart enough. And I took that message with me for years, and there were other things that happened that contributed to that, and it impacted my self-esteem. It impacted the trajectory of my life and what I did and what I chose to do. It was one of the drivers for me going to graduate school, and it's really interesting that it wasn't until I started doing the podcast, when I started interviewing my guests, my incredible guests, that I started learning about how important not just education is. Because when you're working with trauma, obviously you've got to know what you're doing and how trauma impacts the brain and the body. But you've also got to, I think it's really important to understand the value of you as a person. And I say you, talking to the therapists and coaches out there. And a lot of times that's overlooked and overshadowed by the importance of knowledge, the desire to utilize interventions. Why is that? Well, people go to school, they spend a lot of time in school, they learn a lot of interventions, they go to a lot of different workshops, and they're really important. But oftentimes, what gets overlooked is the value of who you are. And that is easy to overlook because it's hard to look at who we are sometimes. It's hard to explore our own stories, our own traumas, our own biases, our own fears, our own judgments. And we bring that unexplored into the therapeutic environment. And of course, that's going to impact the work you do. And I learned my lesson the hard way. I think I'll talk about that later. But this whole idea of valuing and honoring who you are as a therapist really excites me because what do you mean? You mean I'm okay, I'm good enough, even with all the crap I've done, or I'm not smart enough in this particular area? You can honor your own unique talents and attributes and facets. And when you're able to do that, that breathes, you exude authenticity. And when you're working in terms of relationship, and especially in terms of a therapeutic relationship, for me, my belief is that is where magic happens.